Good morning, everybody. This is Mia. This is Thursday morning already. I need to double check my schedule to make sure there is no morning appointments. I'm going to do that now. I have some emails. I got phone calls. I'll make a phone call probably. I don't like doing 9. I don't definitely like don't do it before 9. I'll do it at 9:15ish. Invitation to our science talk. Alright, so I gotta close down one of my bank accounts. It's already Thursday. My credit card is due Monday? Or I think it's due before Monday. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. It's due on Sunday, so if I grab money from one of my accounts, it might not be there until Monday, which is, the 13th. Okay. So let's do that. Right now, buddy. I am wearing off-white. I was calling it cream white. Cool breeze. What does it say on the bottom? Changing leaves. Oh, yeah. This is my fall shirt. So I was thinking of doing an off-white or creamy white series. This is wearing white after Labor Day, adding to that before Memorial Day. I was in defiance because my mother wouldn't wear white after Labor Day, so she had a lot of shoes and purses and clothing. I don't remember her having a lot of white clothing. But the shoes and stuff I felt like got put away, or she had a kind of a big house and a bunch of places to keep shoes, so she probably didn't necessarily put them away, but that's how I am, being defiant, because I get super paranoid around Labor Day. I have some white boots, but they're at the other place. I need some different shoes. Speaking of, like, I'm about to go to the thrift store and find something, which I don't like doing, because I don't want to get a foot fungus, which actually I have this issue with my foot, and I used to wear used shoes a lot. I was impoverished and with kids and living in the street or living in a shelter. I was living in the tent when I was homeless the first 2 times, and then a shelter, and then several transitional housings after that, which was still homeless. Was I reading it to you guys yesterday about I don't know if it was California. Someone was talking about their welfare was $71 a month maximum per person. That's not very much money. I mean, you could go to the store and come out with a basket of groceries. Say you were homeless and I guess people get food stamps, but say you had $71 and you were needing to use that for food. I see, was it 16, 12? I don't know, 8 ounces of lunch meat for $10. It's a discount store, or one of the cheaper stores. Bread, $5. It used to be you could get bread, even in Winco, I used to get bread for 79 cents, then it would jump up to 99 cents. Then it's like you wouldn't really see it at 79, but I feel like last time I went to Winco, it had to be over $1, but that was a long time ago, like a year ago. There's a lot going on. I gotta make some travel plans. I gotta do some business traveling today. I don't remember my password for this. For this website. Oh no. It's not right, whatever it was. I don't know. I don't feel well today. I have to do a COVID test. I don't have to do anything, but I feel like I should, but I'm not. I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to drink some tea. This is from last night. It's called. I woke up with this dream, and I just want to tell you about part of it. I was looking through a box for something I donated, a small box, and I was looking for a flip phone, and somebody else I was with had brought like I call it a sound bar. It was like just a piece of like metal or plastic or something like electronic that was like this. And I looked in the box and there was all these flip phones and these other kind of phones, like old phones, and their screens were all on. One of them was kind of like liquid, like LCD, like fluid on the outside. There was a few of those in this box, like this cardboard box, behind the slot where we were donating stuff at this event. The guy was like, "Oh, your stuff should be in there, stuff to be in there." I was like, "It's not in there. The person I was with, when we dropped them all together, their stuff is in there, but mine's not. I need my SD card out of the phone. I forgot to take it out. Oh my gosh, I think I forgot to take it out, right?" And in this dream, I had convinced a guy. It wasn't easy to let me look. I was like, "There's got to be something else. This box is full. There's got to be more donations." So he's like, "Okay, come with me." He's kind of like pointing to this room or something, trying to be like low key a little bit. In this room had, I feel like it had couches and shelves, maybe bookshelves, clean and airy. It wasn't anything spectacular looking, like just a basic, nice, clean, comfortable though. And he brought out a bigger box. In this box, there was a bunch of brown leather purses, and most of them were in really good shape. I felt like I was around college age people, so I was like, "Oh, people are just getting rid of this kind of clutter." Excuse me. And there was these brown leather purses in good shape. One of them had the front that was starting to wear off. It's like it would look like the kind where when you have fake leather and it starts to kind of dry rot, like just start flecking off, you know. So that one, I was like, "Oh, everything else in here is good." There was a big home phone that had the same like LCD. They were like bluish in tint, and it was going at like everything was like pretty much everything was on, and had like video games, or like little travel video games playing. And then the I think there was another like flip type phone or some older style phone, and I couldn't find my object. And there was some young people coming and stuff, and it was time to go, and I was like, "What did he do with my stuff?" And I don't know if the guy was like taking off for the night and he grabbed the two boxes and headed out, and that was my chance of, and like, "Oh no, I didn't get my stuff," you know. So it was a really, really weird dream, and it felt like Oscoda, Michigan. I grew up in Oscoda, and I felt like telling you what that was like. And then I need to go and do some work. I really wanted to go back to sleep at 6:55. This beautiful sunlight coming in right before 7 is going to take a break for a few weeks because the time change on Sunday morning, early a.m. is going to set this at 7:55. It'll be like that, and the sun will start to be higher in the sky, so it won't truly be like this angle coming in until next year, depending on whether they change the time to standard or daylight time, savings time. Um, and then the nighttime we'll get some different sun. I'll try to see if I can do some recordings at night in the sunset side of the apartment. So I guess we're lucky to have this sunrise and the sunset side in the windows that we can actually look out that aren't above my eye level. These ones are above 5 feet up. They start at above 5 feet, so I cannot look out at the sun at the horizon. I can see. I mean, we're in a small town. I can see some neighbors over here that have an apartment. They usually have their blinds open all the time, and it was weird. The other day they were airing out. I was like, oh, we need to air ours out too. But I don't know who those people are. My partner might know. If there's more than one apartment up above the stores here, my partner might know some of those people. When you think about the apartments, it starts to feel a little bit cozy, like there's a neighborhood, there's a, culture of in-town apartment dwellers, and that aren't in an apartment complex. And it gives me like this New York City kind of vibe, and there's always honking, there's a light, there's police cars, all kinds of stuff going on. Somebody's loving their music and their bass on their car, like, every single day. So, let's rewind back to the topic of Oscoda. This is a really hard topic because I do not travel to this town. I have a history of not making friends. I'll be friendly with people or acquaintances. I have a few friends that I got close to, and what's scary is that was a time where their parent, who was in the military active duty, had to suddenly move. And that also was a time where my mom would be, oh yeah, you can go hang out with them, you could spend the night, you can do this, you can do that. Little girls, teenage, adolescents, preteens, even elementary school, we like those. Play together, come to someone's house on Saturday, spend the night, come to a birthday party, come to overnight. When the white kids were having these overnights a lot, and oftentimes I wasn't allowed to go, or different reasons, until somebody's like, their parent just got ordered, they got to be out of here in 3 days, or sometimes one of my friends left so fast. So there's a military base at the Wurtsmith Air Force Base Strategic Air Command at Oscoda, Michigan. At what's now, what is it, Catula Field or something? I'm sorry, I'm not there. A relative is there, and I want to go back to my old stomping grounds, but I got this feeling, So there's some mental emotional stuff tied to that, along with the PTSD between that relative and some other bad experiences there. But I wanted to explain about the lifestyle. I grew up on a lake, and I had the whole town on a lake, and between my lake, or the lake I grew up on, and the Lake Huron, there was Cedar Lake. So there was this lake, and this lake. And then if you're going towards town, which is approximately 6 minutes driving the speed limit, there's some kind of creek. I don't even know what that was. And there was some kind of creek, and it went off on this one long dirt road a bunch of people live. My bus would pick people up there. I don't ever remember going down to the end of that road, but I think there was the guy that ran the dam that went into the lake behind my house. He was in control of filling or letting the lake fill or draining the lake, which is kind of weird. So when it was time to put the docks in this spring, summer, I take them out at the end of summer, this water would be drained out. And I feel like this could have been a man-made lake. Isn't that creepy, though? Like, we have maybe a marshland or a creek going into some water, then somebody dams it up, and now you have this humongous lake. So you can look this stuff up on Wikipedia or online. How did I get to Oscoda, Michigan? I was born outside of Michigan, and my dad was military, and he was an officer, and he got a choice after I was born to go to Guam to military base there, Air Force base there, or to Wurtsmith in Oscoda, Michigan. From the story, what I heard, he chose Oscoda. I was wondering what it'd been like if I was at the beach, but I was at a different beach. It was like, brr, it's like cold. So, I suspect in my brain, in my wee brain, that he was close to my mom's relatives and his relatives, which were the next state over, or 1, 2, 3 states over. Still all day drive. Like, those states are really big. So that's my reasoning behind it, especially as someone's getting ready to retire, which likely means your parents are pretty old. I don't know what it would have been like. We never took a family trip together. But anyways, that's besides the point. My parents said that's how I got there. How did the base get there? That's just, I can talk about that later. Do some more history, because I tell you that I'm really bad at history. But it seems like if I know some history, then I'm able to re-say it to you guys. Not necessarily the dates, because I'm a visual thinker. I'm trying to get this thing to turn on. It's cold in here. What's up? There was the lake. I would like actually to learn more about that lake. And the military base was, I don't know if it was an army, because remember back in the day, the Air Force was part of the army. And there was Cold War. I don't know if this was probably more World War II, but because the lake froze so solid, they would use the lake in the wintertime as a runway. When it was time for everything to thaw, they'd close the base. So it was a temporary base. Maybe they didn't close it, but maybe they closed the runway. So I didn't really know that growing up, I don't think. But I think I must have looked it up. Just kind of tinkering around. So let's go to my personal life. I lived off base. We lived on the flight line where the airplanes landed, on the runway right across the main street of 41 from my house. I lived on a very, very short dirt road with a huge forest across the street. And there was a campground. If you walked through the trails, there was a campground through the woods. I want to say a half mile. I'm trying to estimate a half mile. I don't think it was a mile. I feel like it was pretty quick. It might have been, but it's like you're a kid and you're on these trails, so you know, like how you're going through the woods. Past that campground, that was like a public paid campground with, I think it had pump water and outhouses. There was Camp Nisqually up the street, and my mom's like, oh, there's kids there that they bring up from Detroit so they can experience the woods and the lake and canoeing, I don't know what. And me and my brother both went to camps there too, which he told me that people were his age were catching rabbits and being able to bring them home as pets. Maybe they ate them, I don't know, but as pets. I was like, I want to catch a rabbit. That's creepy. So there's a lot of woods, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of boating, there's a lot of fishing. At the time when I grew up in the 80s, there was a lot of hunting. Just in Michigan in general, there was public hunting grounds, so it sounded terrifying to me, having a lot of people on a piece of land. You don't know who's doing what skill, who's doing good gun safety, you know. I don't know about the bow and arrows. I learned bow and arrows because we were up north. We had a lot of snow back in the day, and we had, say, for one of our gym classes, probably the 3 years of middle school, we had alternated snowshoeing with cross-country skiing during gym class, and we would go so far out on this trail, and then we'd hear the bell, and I would be that group that's like, I'm going to go up front and I'm going to get as far away from the school, and then when we come back to take off our equipment, and I don't know if we had to change, I don't know if we wore snow pants or not, but that way I have an excuse. Oh, the next class, oh, I'm late. Every day I'm late because we were in gym class and they had us go all the way out on this trail, and we got back after the bell. Sorry. Like, please. that probably put me into better shape. Because most people would be like, say there's a trail of people, and you have people in the front, you have people in the back. The people in the back, the bell starts to ring, they can get back, or they look at their clock. The teacher didn't come with us. They could get back to school and get to class. Those of us way up here, and that was the way I thought. If I do this, I can get out of, 10 minutes of my next class, which is not smart because I need repetition. I need to hear the lesson. My leg is starting to bother me again. You guys know that I injured it really badly. Wah. So, rewind to kindergarten, thinking about winter. I feel like in my half-day kindergarten class, I had 3 hours? I don't know how long kindergarten is. We had bundled up at home, or I had bundled up at home, in all my winter clothes, earmuffs, hat, scarf, gloves. I probably had long johns on, corduroy dang pants that used to make my teeth hurt. Just that, it's kind of like that chewing on metal with a cavity, with a metal filling. Probably had 2 pairs of socks on, or wool socks, moon boots, snow pants, snow shirt with a big hood, or a coat, mittens or gloves. I feel like you get little kids mittens back then because it keeps your hands warmer. But then I'd stand out on the bus stop like that, get to kindergarten, take all that off, put it in a locker. If I can remember if it was kindergarten, because I went to kindergarten first grade at the same school. Go into class, do something. Then it's recess time, put all that stuff on, come back in, take it off, do something. Then it's time to get ready for the bus. Go out in the hall, put all that stuff on. Like, that's what I remember about kindergarten. I remember the letter stickers. I love stickers. Going back to the story about the phone dream, everything was shiny and glossy, smooth. And I love that. I was thinking about liquid crystal display. I have I'm trying to think, the majority of my education growing up black in Oscoda, Michigan, I was the only black person in my class. First grade, there was a boy named Dehan. I think Dehan. I used to have my yearbooks. I want to say Lewis, but I don't know if that's right. I feel like he was in my class at 2nd grade, too. I don't know if that is... who came to me? He's in my pictures from my birthday party. I had this boy, and as far as I know, potentially... I think he was in my preschool class on the military base. I lost all his pictures. I'm really sad about it, too. I was sitting like this. Like, either like this, I was like, no, me, I'm bored. I'm angry. That was me, 3 years old. So I might have been 4. I remember going to preschool in my home state daycare nursery school and having to carry a tray and put it on the counter, and I was so scared I was going to drop that tray. That's why I had a fear of being a waitress, I think, from that time. And I was like 2 years old at this. I was weak or something. I was so scared trying to carry this lunch tray. So, growing up on Oscoda, if I look right now, or not right now, but a couple years ago, I felt like the population of the town was under 1,000 people, and that would probably be the city limits or the town limits. I'm not sure what lines they use. There is another town connected to it called Oscoda, and where we lived, we were a couple miles from the county line, I believe, Alcona County. I don't even know if that, Mankato, I guess. There was a town it's like you had F41 and you had US 23 going up north. I don't even know if F41 was going up north, but you could get to Alpena, Michigan, which is right up here from Oscoda to Alpena. Maybe they're all pushed up a little bit more. And so there was 2 roads to get there, and one went around farmlands. I don't know how straight that one was. And so when I think about Alcona County, when you're on these 2 roads, there's a line. There's actually a line. I think there's a road called County Line. that you cross, because my mom temporarily taught there. There was a school at County Line, a really small school, and I was like, what the heck? Like they opened, sometimes they had a lot more kids and they opened up schools. This is going to be intro because I don't have time. I have plenty of time, but I have work to do. I have plenty of time because I'll make time, but I have work to do and I'm dreading doing it. When I was thinking about the schools, the military base was there. There was 3 schools that I knew of, and one in what's called Glenny, which was way up. I don't know. My mind thinks an hour out of town. So there was kids that were around the farmland there, and that was not good because some of the teachers were really rude. Mr. Brumback, our math teacher, was really rude about some of these kids that were different or from Glenny or had light skin or had dark skin or were Asian. Like there was he was just picking on people. He seemed to be a good teacher when he taught math and was up on the board, but what's up with this drama that teachers start picking on kids because of their skin color? So even people that were too white for him, he was distracted. Calling people nicknames and I think I saw in the paper that this guy had died from cancer. I don't know what you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. There was an Asian American. She was raised by white parents, and she was told by Mr. Brumback. He spent in like a whole class saying, "Speak up. What did you say? Speak up." And she was soft-spoken, small, petite. And we were in junior high. We're kids. We're hormonal girls, and there's boys, and we're in a small town, and we're the only 2 that are people of color. Besides in the class, pretty much in the whole school. Like I could barely list the people of color kids, because there wasn't really any. There was one mixed race guy he was in Quincy. He was in he must have been in 8th grade when I was in 6th. I'm not quite sure if I even made it. And I had a crush on that guy. Quincy. Golenlock. Please forgive me. I wasn't going to name names on this. So now everybody knows. I remember being at his house because my brother was up there. And was there a song on the radio? When I hear this song, this 80s song, I'm just like, oh. It's like I remember they had a huge sunroom on the lake, and it was pretty cool. It's amazing when you have the means to be able to be on the water, to take in the beauty, or even share the water. There's not much public land places I'm at. It's pretty sad. Sigh. Maybe I could own a hotel on the water and have a little house, some rental houses there, and I could be one of the tenants in my own hotel. The owner's house. It's like that at Hallmark, and they keep saying the owner's, that lady, she lives in that house. It was hard. There's racism. There was boredom for me, that girl from kindergarten or from preschool moving up to knowing how to read and write before school. I wasn't good at writing, and I'm left-handed, so it makes it harder for me, I think, in my opinion. Having the books or having the letters of the day from kindergarten, they had the red stickers you put on the little black thing, and I love the stickers, and I had been bored, and in 1st grade, I remember the teacher set me aside and said, you can color, you could do this. I remember was it 1st grade or 2nd grade, or kindergarten or 1st grade, we learned how to make boxes. I haven't done that in a long time. So you fold a construction paper and turn it into a bottom of the box and do another one to make a top. So you have like a literal box. I love that. Just things like that I remember. Back in 1980, I don't know what, it was like 1980, literally. I'm pretty sure I was in kindergarten in 80. That was a long time ago. I was in preschool in the 70s. Woo! Me and my mom watching the base. I don't know if she had the job already, or she applied for the job, or what she was doing at the base youth center. and there was a jukebox, which I don't think I'd ever seen before. I'm not sure. If you traveled around back then, you'd see them, I think. And back then, yeah, in the 80s and the 70s. In the 70s, it probably was. And I heard Michael Jackson playing. Was it Billie Jean? So the video on TV is the one where he lights up the lights. I'm pretty sure it was that. And I walked into this place. The jukebox was playing right next. You know how they have the glass doors and the little lobby and another glass doors, or at least the entryway. I think it was like that. And there was a glass office for the director, and the jukebox was. So walking in, it was on the left, and then there was a snack bar, which I love snacks. You could tell I'm pretty fat. I have a appetite. So I probably use drug as a drug. Freudian slip. Food as a drug. I probably use food as a drug as a means of decreasing stress. I have a lot of stress. Family members who use addictions, alcohol, tobacco, kind of things. Control, body dysmorphic, anorexia. There's different things in our family, and in myself. I've had all the above, and so that's what makes it hard for me. Is I'm making these raw foods, and they're so tasty, and that's a real problem. So coming in that place, I was like, yeah, this is the life. Like, this is it. So I'll name a little bit of recreation, and then I'll do some sort of follow-up maybe later, maybe today. And I'm going to set a nice timer. Maybe not. I'll just look at the clock and start on this work, get my hair washed, and get my clothes and stuff ready to go to where I'm going. And then I'll make a couple phone calls here in approximately 2 hours. And that time will be heading out. I really want to go to the to a thrift store. I'm waiting for money to come in, not to go out. I'm just like, what? Oh, I have to call someone's insurance. I should do that while I'm getting my computer started up. But I have a chore that I have to do. Here's the thing. Let's get back on the story. Growing up, so I don't know if this comes up mirror. I feel like it comes up mirror image. So right here, so the thumb would be towards the New York side, and this side would be Lake Michigan, which would be towards the California side. And then you also have the Upper Peninsula, folks. Don't forget about that. So you have Canada here, and Wisconsin here. Michigan is a peninsula. Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. And then you have Lake Erie. You have Cleveland somewhere here. Cedar Point. And where's Cedar Point at, guys? It's somewhere in Ohio. You can look it up online. Oh, I was watching. They have the bunch of videos of the roller coasters. Some of the same roller coasters that I rode on in the 90s are still in operation. I wanted to say Ottawa, but no, it's not Ottawa. So you can get over to Canada through Ontario through the Thumb, Port Huron, and the Thumb. Oh, this is Port Huron. And then you can get over to Canada through Detroit, which would be the bridge or the tunnel. I don't think I've ever taken the tunnel. Or did we not take the bridge? I don't know. Somehow I ended up in Detroit, in Windsor, Ontario. A couple times. A few times in my life. Not that many. My finger still hurts from that injury last week. Doing my chores. I have the time. I'll just talk about the times before. So some recreation there in a small town up north. There's no highway that goes to the town. There's US 23. That's a very long, between US 23 and 75. That will go all the way from the top, maybe Alpena. I don't know how far it really goes. Maybe it probably 75. I think goes to the Mackinac Bridge. So it goes all the way down. If I make this like this is Florida, and Michigan's here. There's 25/75 and 23. I mean, would be together. In some places it splits, and it'll go from Michigan all the way down to Florida. I've been down to the panhandle, or yeah, to the tip of Florida, and to the islands in Key West. I don't know what road that is. I think that's highway. Is it 1? I don't think it's still 23. I'll look on the map later. But you guys can get. I love globes and maps. I don't really have any display. That would be nice. I can do a simple print out. Which reminds me, I forgot to print this thingy. I really forgot. There's something that I was supposed to do yesterday and get a picture taken, and I didn't do it, and I feel like a jerk. But they're gonna use my picture for this doula thing, this website, and this newsletter, and I don't know. I didn't sign anything. Like, it could be used all over the world. I'm gonna be like, what the heck did you use my picture for? It? Maybe that's a good thing. So I'll pray about it, and I'll ask my partner. I'll put like another shirt on, and I'll ask my partner to take a picture of the certificate that doesn't look that great. And anyways, back to the story, and I'll just submit it. It's me. The certificate doesn't look that pretty, but I'll just submit it. So the recreation for before we were driving and after we were driving. So let's say the top 5 that I can remember. 1, going out to the lake with the neighbors' grandkids and splashing around in this area that he had taken. The seaweed wasn't there. I was just reading here on the Chesapeake Bay not to get rid of your seagrasses or your water grasses. He had put a dock around here. He had a nice cute boat. Everything was perfect. It's a perfect lawn and all that stuff. That my parents' yard was more friendly to the lake and to keep fertilizer. Anyway, it's a different. That's a whole environmental story here. But okay. God, Earth, Mother Earth, please. Karmic wheels, please bless us. So 1, splashing with the kids in the water and playing on the inner tubes. Okay, next small town event. The roller skating rink on the Air Force Base was the thing to do. Okay, I guess the youth center, I was there because we had my mom working there. We had Girl Scouts and stuff. Occasionally I took music from my music teacher's daughter. She started teaching there. They had the shopette across the street and the daycare center across the street. So I was really little. I went to the daycare center. And then when my mom was working at the youth center, eventually I'd come over across the street. And then my mom had somebody set up a kids after school program with, what's her name, Edie? Or what was that lady's name? African American lady. Anyways, so I'd frequent the daycare center, the youth center, and then across the street was a shopette, which was like a convenience store where I would dig through the trash, take back some cans, and buy a special dark chocolate. So hanging out at the centers for kids, I might have walked there once, I don't know. Maybe my mom dropped me off. There was a library, a mini library in the neighborhoods too. So these are all close to the neighborhood part of the base. So we were a military family. We lived right across the street from the base. We didn't live on base, but we were on base. I feel like me and my mom, and I guess my dad was working all the time. Who knows where my brother was. He worked at the commissary for a while too. So before driving, being in Girl Scouts, oftentimes we had base. I feel like our meetings were on base. The houses, everyone's house was spotless. Whether they had a 1-story house with a full basement, not finished but full. They had 2-story houses with basements. I'm trying to think of what other house. I didn't go in really officer houses, I don't think. I feel like they had 1-story houses with patios. They had them, so you were like segregated based on, like they had that, what's it called, the 10,000 area? And my mom said, oh, those houses come apart and can be put together. And I was like, what? I think about my toys, like the erector set and stuff. Swimming, I can't remember what I was saying. Swimming, roller rink, the youth activities in the library, Girl Scouts. And then I had another one and I forgot it. So I used to do pottery over closer to the airplanes. There was a shop building, and there was a pottery. My mom would drop me off to do. It's more like ceramics, not pottery. What's the difference? We used to do ceramics and pottery. Isn't it the same thing when you actually? So no, I didn't have a potter's wheel. We had that in high school. So then the last thing, adding to the 5, was my mom likes shopping and looking at stuff at the Base Exchange, which is the store that's kind of like, I want to call it like, what is like a catalog store? I can't remember. These are old terms. Sears and JCPenney, they have a little bit of everything. Bedding and electronics and lots of clothing, shoes. I can't even think of the name. Department store. It's like a department store, like a miniaturized one. When the commissary we were at frequently, my brother would get paid and he'd bring home some like Ruffles with some French onion dip. Oh, that sounds like such comfort food right now. So after driving, what did we do? We went to McDonald's. There was a McDonald's. That's where people hung out. They could still smoke there. They shut down the smoking. So this was over for like 15 up. They shut down the smoking department or smoking area of McDonald's when all the teens came in. Put the no smoking signs up. Everyone, oh man, everyone would leave, get to their car, drive around for an hour, and come back and sit there and smoke. And there'd be families and stuff all looking at all these kids. And then they shut down. And then we leave. And we might do that like 2-3 times. Oh man. But I was like, gosh, where were our braids? Just imagine a McDonald's filling up. You see like Lean On Me or something where you got these people in their cars and the people look at these old movies, they got like cigarettes stuck in there. Like, I'm not that old. If my boyfriend heard me, I would be so embarrassed to hear me laughing at myself. I better check it. I was growing up in an old-fashioned town, so we didn't have the cars that look like the ones from Lean On Me. Is that the show? That's a sad story, by the way. But you imagine like that small town, not that small, people knowing everybody, little general type stores. Back then, one McDonald's. We had eventually got a Burger King. One street light when I moved to town. Eventually got two traffic signals. So going to McDonald's, driving around to your friend's house or trying to find boys. Like, I don't know if that's the same thing. I guess driving around. If somebody had a car, I think it's similar to McDonald's. So hanging out with friends, just try to hang out with friends. I could go to games. I could start to spend the night once in a while at people's houses. Try to get rides to the woods bonfire parties. So there was a place called UK for unknowns, a place called Bus Stop, and there was another one, someone on that side. There was like a couple of them past the schools. So we'd hang out there. People would come back with a bottle of gasoline, like just a soda bottle, and be like, okay, get ready, we're gonna do the fire. And people would go and collect old pallets and unused pool cues, like the duds or whatever. So the kids who had cars knew where to go to get the wood to make the bonfire. And someone would get gas, and someone obviously had some kind of lighter or something. So I don't recommend that you use gas. You don't need it. You just need a piece of newspaper or some dry grass. But whatever. That I watched the other, kids. I lost track. McDonald's, hang out, drive around, look for boys, hang out with friends, try to spend the night, go into these forest bonfires, going to do sporting events. So I was in volleyball, track, and tennis. If there was another season, if I could have done cross country, I would have done cross country because I liked distance running, especially to the woods. I really, really should have done the 2 mile during the track meets, but I didn't, which was pretty sad on my behalf. But I was lazy and didn't want to run around the track 4 times. Or gosh, the 2 miles 8 times. Was there a 1 mile? I should have done a 1 mile. Yeah, I didn't want to run 8 times around, and I'm kicking myself for not doing it because we used to train and run all over. that high school, if you look on a map, and we train in the woods and different things. And I like that trail running stuff. And we just had to run up and down the street. I remember my friend Carla, we'd be having sweatshirts on. You know, there's a lot of sweatshirts back in the 80s and 90s. And they're like, you need to run and be able to talk or jog. Gosh, we'd jog around the school and it was really cold and everyone would get shin splints from running around on the cement. I think I have one more. Let's think. Over 15 and 16. I guess I started having boyfriends-ish from out of town. So I guess I wanted since like kindergarten, since like first grade, I wanted to have a boyfriend, and it took me until like the end of high school to have all these crushes on people in town. Not one person like me, except for one. So one person like me, I should say that. I don't remember his name. Dale, I think. I told this to my counselor. Why does it that the nice boys I didn't like, and maybe they weren't nice. Maybe I had a sixth sense. I didn't think about that since I don't know this. I call him a boy. He's my age. He's almost 50. He's about 50 years old by now. I didn't want to contact this guy. I had a weird feeling, and I thought, I told my counselor I didn't trust the nice boys because it was an uncomfortable feeling to have someone be nice, and I trusted kind of these city guys coming in from the Detroit or from the suburbs, and they felt more comfortable. These other dudes felt comfortable being around a black woman or a black child. It's a child, technically. One guy was a no-go, but that's another story I'm sure I shared about because I shared this person's name. I don't even know this guy's last name. So I dated only just a couple people, and it was pretty much not good. It was not any fairy tale story, but hey, was it like better to have loved than to have lost? And I've lost than to have never loved at all. I don't know. I don't know if any of that was love. It's like hormonal. So I guess in the all in all, besides the sports, I added one more to the before age 15-ish, 15, 16, because I was younger in my class. If a friend or something, usually my friends didn't have their license or cars. My friends are older than me, so if I was 15, they would be 16 in the same grade, but I'd eventually turn 16, but depending on your birthday. So one of my first friends to actually have a car was a grade lower than mine, and that was Lori. The sad thing about any town in a small town was the car accidents where students died, and that's heartbreaking. Just to this day, I just want to cry, guys. Some of it was no seatbelts. Some of it's just driving too fast on gravel roads. I have these fears. Icy condition after prom. There was a death that somebody died or somebody's brother that was in my class. There was an explosion they said there maybe gas fumes in a garage. An explosion. I don't know if someone's out there smoking it. Like, I think about it as an adult and wonder what happened. They say, we have some bad news for you guys. So just heartbreaking to be friends with people, to be friends with kids from the base and not base. I want to rewind back to the Girl Scouts for a minute. For the younger age, there was girls from all over the country because of the military nature of the traveling. And we would talk about where our families were from. So the white girls would be like, I'm part English and I'm part this. We would talk about religion. It'd be like, we're Catholic. Or, we're, I don't remember anyone telling me they were Jewish. So there was just a handful or so of the white girls that I do scouting with through the years. And you can watch some military, some of them are kind of comedy YouTube channels. I was trying to find some, a few years ago, some tips on how to clean your house fast, and I had stumbled upon some military wives making sure their house was prepared for these inspections, and making sure that things were clean and clutter free to up and move your kids, and there was a time where women, if they wanted, I knew friends that mom or the military person, it's not always the dad, but there was the old fashioned way where it's mostly men at work and the woman at home, and all the kids getting on and off the bus, and the moms bringing their kids and us to their house, having Rice Krispie treats. The little sisters were watching cartoons, and the girls that we were in the bathroom giggling, looking in the mirror. So I do have some good thoughts from when I was a kid. Most of them that I talked about were from me hanging out with other families. My mom trusted the military families. If they were married, she was really leery about unmarried couples and scared of men trying to hurt women or girls, which is men can hurt girls and boys, and women can hurt girls and boys. In my opinion, it's the person, not necessarily the demographic or the label behind their name. I feel like there was a lot of weirdness in the town. There's a lot of beautiful people. If I was on Facebook, I was like, wow, what's up with this? Is there something in the air up north? Was it something about the well water people were drinking, and the woods? You didn't get that much sun on you if you had all these trees covering you from the sun. These people looked so youthful and smiling, and I used to see these guys and see people hunting and driving trucks and stick shifts and hunting and fishing, and everyone was like clean cut. The boys were clean cut. I had crushes on these guys. They were driving their vans or their stick shift trucks, and I thought it was pretty like the solid foundation of family, and I wasn't allowed to do stuff. I wasn't given the opportunity to really fish or hunt or do anything, and I not even play golf, all this stuff. And I wondered for years if I would meet some dude that was going to be walking around with either a Carhartt and or a camouflage coat and hat, and being hunting and fishing and driving a stick shift and telling me, I got to work on my own car. I got to drive a stick to save gas because I live out in the country. And then little did I know, in 2019, from the Tinder app, that I would meet my partner, who was that guy who had the camouflage coat and hat and hunting and fishing history and driving the stick shift or the truck that had better gas mileage. And I was like, that was like my dream. I wanted to date one of the Oscoda guys, and they didn't like me. But I met somebody that grew up on a peninsula and lived on the water. It wasn't a lake, but it was a river. Is a river. And so, small town, vacation town, there's not that many places to shop. There was, both of our towns back then, there wasn't like Walmart. When did Walmart even happen? There wasn't like department stores like Sears or JCPenney. This wasn't stuff. There was a catalog store in my town. So that people will look at me and say, you don't like black men. So one of the first guys that I told you about was mixed black and white. There wasn't black men to like. I used to like this guy named Johnny. He was black. And they didn't like me back. Most of the guys, these little neighbors, grandkids of the neighbor, these other kids down the street farther, he had a couple sets of grandsons, and I liked the older brother, who was this blonde guy, and he was my brother's age. And I liked then I heard his younger brother liked me, but then I liked his cousin, and these guys' other cousin was my second choice, and they were all these like blondie kids. So those kids down the street, a ways, his grandparents, they lived up north. Um, I had a crush on that like family. It was like back and forth that it started. I was like young, and I liked men when I was younger. So when I was at the bus stop, and I was just thinking, this guy's cute. So when your hormones start when you're 5 or 6, and you're developing, the closest person to me was this dude. I think actually that guy did live in the house. The older brother lived there. I think the younger brother did too, but he went to a different school than I did. So so I wonder when you hit puberty, who are the kids around you that your body's pheromones become attracted to. And like I said, I definitely had crushes on the people of color. There was some Latino. I was like, oh, these guys are cool. There's people that came and went. So it wasn't that. I've been single most of my life. I've had very few dates. I have no dates for any dances from all through junior high and high school. That's 7 years of no dances. I had an invite to a dance when I was in ROTC in college, and it was a white man. So there was a couple white men that asked me out. I didn't go out with that guy. And for the rest of my life, it was white men that asked me out, white men that talked to me, white men that tried to exchange numbers with me, whether they called or not. And so, because wasn't desirable when I was a kid, wasn't really loved that much by my family, and societal standards, I don't have beauty that the society wants, and I have PTSD from the other stuff that I didn't talk about in this Oscoda thing. So it's like it would take a special person to be able to deal, even just if I didn't have PTSD, even dealing with systemic racism and not having support of a family. I feel like if you have support of a family to cry on their shoulder and to learn wise ways to live as a black person in the United States or in the world, I feel like it would be better confidence. You read some articles and some men are like, oh, I like the confidence of certain women, or, they have their stuff, and the drama is lightened, and, this focus on, career or whatever. And, everyone's different this way. Everyone's not fighting over everybody, or at least they're not fighting over me. There's some simple people that aren't getting fought over by folks, and then there's other people that were trained to say it's desirable. But I liked the outdoors. I liked the possibility of having friends in Oscoda. I liked the I didn't have a lot of friends. I don't keep in touch with any of them. I was keeping in touch with one, but she went off Facebook Messenger. So, in my opinion, I feel like it was a good place to grow up. There's a lot of people there. There's some racist people there. There's a lot of racist people everywhere that I've been. And if you're black and you go to black community and you don't have the look or the talk like the local folks, that makes it very difficult. Now it's time to do my work. I wanted to have this be more happy, but the ending was sad. I'll end with the high school. So since I was talking about systemic racism, growing up north, running around with people trying to hunt and fish, and there's golf resorts trying to have people that come up from down south, or from like Flint or whatever down south. They had the beach homes and their vacation homes and their second homes, and they come up there to relax. So I was hanging out with people that wanted to do boating and wanted to do stuff. My mom wouldn't let me go. So it was kind of sad having all that beauty in nature, and even the golf courses that someone else was going to pay for us to go, and then having your parents say, no, you can't do this, no, you can't boat, no, you can't drive, no, you can't go to this person's house. And so you feel like you're in a prison. But as far as not having that many blacks, I do remember graduation day in high school. I do have my last name what put me at the front row. There was another African American in the front row with me during the ceremony. Why do I feel like there was only two of us? Again, my yearbooks got destroyed. I feel like there was only two of us. But I want to try to say that there was a male. So that guy was military. The military base closed when I graduated from school. I think it was going to close earlier, but then the Desert Storm happened, and it delayed it because everyone was called. Like all the military people got called away from the base, and it was weird because it was just the families left behind. And then when the Desert Storm lightened up, the U-Haul place had like hundreds of U-Hauls all over their front yard. Like, I'm sorry, guys. My friends used to call themselves military brats because they moved all over and they had sisters. And I like my one friend had those 3 girls, and I thought it was the cutest, perfect little family. Mom was super tidy and organized. But it's like, if your parents don't really talk to you, your mom knows a little bit. It's like, she's like, oh, I have some bad news, your friend moved. Or, oh, this person moved. And, like, my mom had bought me a plane ticket when my one friend moved to go see a different friend while I was at camp. I guess to try to cheer me up or something. But it's hard when you're friends with someone in the military and your family sucks, and then you find out that they're moving, and your mom finally is like, okay, now you can hang out with them. So then you become even closer, and then all of a sudden you never see them again. Like you might write letters and stuff, but I mean, that's life. We're all lucky we have Facebook. We could see people, see that they're alive, that they made it. They made it through COVID. They have kids. They have dogs. And I remember my friend Mary. We had so much fun. I'm sorry, guys. If there's any other military brats or anyone who didn't know how to deal with that kind of separation thing, in slavery, the families were divided frequently and sold, kids taken out of their hands, couples split up. And I suspected that maybe my family wasn't so lovey and huggy, besides the abusive nature of the individuals. I feel like it could be because it was hard to say, hey, I want to be loving to my family and be close, and then know that every other week at the auction block, our enslaved people will be ripped apart. Our families will be ripped apart at the seams. So I suspected that between that and the poor treatment of blacks in the U.S., the beatings and the forcing them to do stuff, I felt like with my family, it's like they treated each other like a slaveholder in the movie. So Roots was someone. What's the one with the purple cloth? So having this experience as generational stress with being African American from the U.S., not immigrating recently from any other countries or from the islands, having that slave, and then having your dad be an officer in the military and having a little bit more money than a lot of people, and people being jealous and being weirded out by blacks having money, because my dad, right before I was born, segregation ended, and my dad, before segregation was ended, he was recruited into the military right after he got his college degree, and so they were kind of forced him to be an officer, and that's a whole different story. But through the that was my grandpa, that was in World War II, into the Vietnam War, and then he ended up doing this as a career. After he survived that, told me that missiles were being shot at his plane, and they had to do evasive maneuvers. So growing up with hearing nothing about the military from my dad, watching military movies, I wonder if that's what it was like. And then in my 30s, my dad had opened up and told me a lot of his military stories, and I tried to write some stuff down on scrap paper. I should have documented it better, because now I don't hear the stories. I'm grateful today that I have these memories to share with you. I'm grateful for the people and the parents that gave me a different look on life than my own home life. I'm grateful for the friends that we did have, and the one family we used to walk to Girl Scouts from the neighborhood part of base towards where that pottery and ceramic shop was, closer to the airplanes. There was a big grassy field, or I don't know, and we'd walk across there. There was railroad tracks. We'd walk across railroad tracks. We'd play on those. I don't know. We just, sometimes we were on the base. The parents, even though we were young, we were allowed to do stuff. It was like a safe haven at the time. And then I'd go back to my big brick house on the lake and spend my nights watching the news, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, and we had pretty much the same routine. My dad wanted this routine all the time, and time that he had free time, he wasn't really doing anything on routine except watch TV, but he wanted the rest of the family to be on some kind of thing. That's a whole other story, but I'm grateful that I met my partner who grew up differently but similar, and just and bless those people that I said their names and didn't say their names, or those families of people that I liked, the cousins that didn't like me back. And I think I wrote a note to one of those young men. I wrote, "Will you go out with me?" And I put a square yes or no. And I gave it to him at recess, and he gave it back. I go, "What does it say?" He goes, "I didn't have a pen. I scratched it." I was like, so I never know. I assume it said no, because we never did anything together. But I was that girl that really wanted a boyfriend and didn't get one from that town. And he even went out and was boldly asking a man, or we were like in 4th grade, a young man out. At least I know I tried, right?